Oh, hey, my name is Miles, and I'm out here waiting for the tide to come in so I can get the best waves possible. Now, I have zero control of the waves, but I trust that every day there will be high and low tides, and that helps me know the best time to surf. You see, sometimes trusting is easy, like trusting the tides will change, but other times trusting is hard, like trusting someone who has broken a promise to you. When we trust people, they sometimes make mistakes, but God is different. When God says something, He makes sure it is going to happen. I know God is always going to take care of me, and I can always trust Him. Here, let me show you. Here in the Bible, we see why we can trust God. The Bible is God's true message to us about Himself, and it is one of the best ways we can learn more about Him. In the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis, we see when God made a promise to a man named Abram that completely changed Abram's life. Let's see how Abram learned more about who God is and how he can always be trusted.
God called Abram. The Lord spoke to a man named Abram, who was later called Abraham, and said to him, "Leave your land, your people, and your father's house. Go to the place I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. All the people on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram obeyed God and left his father's house. When he was 75 years old, Abram took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all their possessions and servants, and set out for a land called Canaan. When Abram arrived in Canaan, the Lord appeared to him and said, "To your family I will give this land." So Abram built an altar to the Lord. Abram traveled to the land and arrived at a place called the Negev Desert. Again, the Lord spoke to Abram, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward will be great." But Abram said, "Lord God, what can you give me since I don't have any children?" The Lord replied, "You will have a son of your own." Then the Lord took Abram outside and said, "Look at the sky and count the stars if you can. That is how many children will be born into your family."
Wait a minute, did you hear that? God told Abram, a man who was already 75 years old, to pack up his stuff and take his family to a new land. He didn't have any kids, but God told him that he was going to make his family a great nation. That seems impossible, right? I'm not sure I would trust God would do all He said He would do. God said He would make Abram's family so big, it would be like trying to count the stars in the sky. That's a lot to trust. Let's keep going and see what Abram did next.
Abram trusted God, and God was pleased that Abram believed Him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "I am the Lord. I will give you this land to have as your very own." But Abram said, "Lord, how can I know I will have this land for my own?" So God commanded Abram to bring animals for a sacrifice. Abram prepared the animals as God commanded him. When the sun set and it was dark, a pot of smoking coals and a burning torch appeared and passed between the animal sacrifices to show that God was with Abram. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram. "I give this land to you and your family. All this will be yours."
Imagine being given a huge promise like God gave to Abram, knowing God was going to bless his family and make them a great nation. It almost sounds too good to be true, but when God makes a promise, He keeps it. We can look back at everything God did in Abram's life and see that God kept every single promise. Abram knew God and trusted Him, and Abram's family grew into a nation that blessed the entire world. In fact, we are all blessed through one of Abram's descendants, Jesus. Many years after Abram, God sent Jesus, born through the family line of Abram, to make a way for us to have a relationship with God. When we choose to follow Jesus, we show God that we trust Him with our whole lives. And that is a lot of trust. There may be times in your life when you need to trust God and the promises He has made to you. We can trust God because He knows us, loves us, and wants to have a relationship with us. We are all meant to know God. And the more we know God, the more we can trust Him day after day. Knowing we can trust God helps us remember that He always keeps His promises. The tide is starting to come in, and it's time for me to be out on the waves. I'll see you later.